Okay, sir, I have a few questions for you from your talk.
Sure.
Basically, number one, both the Philippines and Australia have been considering the appropriate tax regime for mining. What can the Philippines learn from Australia in this regard?
I think the first thing that the Philippines might usefully look at in Australia is how we went about the process of determining what a stable, internationally competitive taxation system looks like. If you set up a taxation regime here that puts you at an internationally competitive disadvantage, then all you'll have is a tax rate for nothing, because you won't get the investment to develop your natural resource endowment. So you need to make sure that your tax rates are not so high that you destroy project value for those projects that have not even started. And if you destroy project value for those projects that are already going, then what you're doing is you're changing the rules halfway through the life of the project. That in itself is a disincentive for people to continue to invest and grow in the Philippines.
Thank you, sir. You said today that there is intense competition for global capital and that these funds are very mobile. Can you expound on this, please?
Yeah, globalization has essentially integrated the world's trade and commerce. Probably like no other time since Marco Polo turned international trade into an art form. What that means is that capital moves very quickly. Anybody who contests that should look at the global financial crisis and how quickly the economic contagion moved around the globe. So capital, people, technology, information moves at the speed of light. And so therefore companies will move their resources to where they can strategically deploy their people and their capital and their knowledge to give them the greatest benefit to that investment. Now that doesn't mean they're out there on a rip-off platform. It's just good business sense to go where you can optimize the investment that you're making, the return on the investment you're making. And part of that cost becomes the way in which you work with the people in the communities in which you're going to operate. That's the important part of the equation in terms of a social license to operate, but capital will move to where it can be utilized best.
Thank you, sir. The Philippine government is formulating a quote, no-go zone, end quote, map for minerals development. This is something other countries have considered in the past. What could the Philippines take from a successful process and where?
I think the first thing is to understand what you're actually trying to achieve. We went through a similar exercise in Australia, and it's all about confidence. It's about confidence for existing landholders. It's about confidence for people who go to invest in new projects. It's about minimizing the regulatory delays in project approvals. And the best way, we think, to go about that is to have a process of engagement where interested parties, whether they're from civil society, government, business, industry, actually being involved in a process of engagement where they're determining where the strategic land use values lie and where technology and methods of operation can in fact minimize the environmental and social adverse consequences of mining to the point where you can actually optimize the benefit for all concerned. And there are circumstances around the world, many places around the world, where agriculture and mining coexist, in fact even help each other. People working in the mines work in the farms, people working in the farms work in the mines, backwards and forwards. And there's also a much greater economic pie when you've got a whole stack of diversified enterprises all in a particular area and community. You don't have all your eggs in one basket. So when they work together, when they set it up and there's a spirit of collegiality and cooperation, it's amazing how well you can do it. and you don't need bureaucrats, however well-intended they might be and however decent they might be, trying to draw lines on a map that might be right for today's technology but won't be right for tomorrow. And if you want an example of that, have a look at shale gas in the United States and how that has taken off to the point where the United States is on the verge of becoming energy independent within the next 10 to 15 years.
Wow, okay. Does the Philippines have anything to learn from the wealth contribution from mining to the Australian economy and the Australian people?
Absolutely.
Please expound, sir.
And that is that if you get the development, the legitimate exploitation of your natural endowment, if you get it right, it will build social and economic benefits to all of your people. Now, the best thing you can do is to have open market policies, floating exchange rates, free trade, free investment, allow your resources to move around, and that way the benefits of the boom in mining, the benefits of your activity and your development in mining will wash through the economy. In the 1970s, when we had an agricultural and mining boom, it ended in tears. We had double-digit inflation, double-digit unemployment, and double-digit interest rates. How would you go paying 21% on your interest rates? How would you go if you had 14 to 15% of the economy unemployed? And how would you go if you found that your inflation rates were at 14 to 15%? That's what happened in Australia on the back of the boom in the 70s. And our Minister, the Treasurer at the time, said this is the recession Australia had to have because we had to slow down. Well, fast forward 30 years, and this time round, because we've got an open, vibrant, vigorous economy, it's followed open market policies, the benefits have all washed through. And as I said here today, every household in Australia is $400 a week better off this year than they were at the start of the boom because of the mining boom. That's a big, big slice of national economic prosperity.
Thank you, sir. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.